Continuing with sub-element E2, operating procedures. 5 exam questions come from the 5 groups located in this sub-element. E2A covers amateur radio in space, amateur satellites, orbital mechanics, frequencies and modes, satellite hardware, and satellite operations. E2A01, what is the direction of an ascending pass for an amateur satellite? Answer is C, from south to north. E2A02, which of the following is characteristic of an inverting linear transponder? D, all of those choices are correct. So that is A, Doppler shift is reduced because the uplink and downlink shifts are in opposite directions. B, signal position in the band is reversed. And C, upper sideband on the uplink becomes lower sideband on the downlink and vice versa. E2A03, how is an upload signal processed by an inverting linear transponder? D, the signal is mixed with a local oscillator signal and the different product is transmitted. E2A04, what is meant by the mode of an amateur radio satellite? That's B, the satellite's uplink and downlink frequency bands. E2A05, what do the letters in a satellite's mode designator specify? D, the uplink and downlink frequency ranges. E2A06, what are Keplerian elements? That's A, parameters that define the orbit of a satellite. E2A07, which of the following types of signals can be relayed through a linear transponder? D, all of these choices are correct, which is A, FM and CW, B, SSB and SSTV, and C, PSK and packet. E2A08, why should effective radiated power be limited to a satellite that uses a linear transponder? B, to avoid reducing the downlink power to all other users. E2A09, what do the terms L-band and S-band specify? A, the 23 and 13 centimeter bands. E2A10, what type of satellite appears to stay in one position in the sky? That's B, geostationary. E2A11, what type of antenna can be used to minimize the effects of spin, modulation, and Faraday rotation? That's B, a circularly polarized antenna. E2A12, what is the purpose of digital store and forward functions on an amateur radio satellite? C, to hold the digital messages in the satellite for later download. E2A13, which of the following techniques is used by digital satellites to relay messages? That's B, store and forward. E2B is television practices, fast scan television standards and techniques, slow scan television standards and techniques. E2B01, in digital television, what does a coding rate of 3/4 mean? A, 25% of the data sent is forward error correction data. E2B02, how many horizontal lines make up a fast scan television frame? C, 525. E2B03, how is an interlaced scanning pattern generated in a fast scan television system? That's D, by scanning odd-numbered lines in one field and even-numbered lines in the next. E2B04, how is color information sent in analog SSTV? A, color lines are sent sequentially. E2B05, which of the following describes the use of vestigial sideband in analog fast scan TV transmissions? C, vestigial sideband reduces the bandwidth while increasing the fidelity of low-frequency video components. E2B06, what is vestigial sideband modulation? A, amplitude modulation in which one complete sideband and a portion of the other are transmitted. E2B07, which types of modulation are used for amateur television DVB-T signals? And that's B, QAM and QPSK. E2B08, what technique allows commercial analog TV receivers to be used for fast scan TV operations on the 70 centimeter band? That's A, transmitting on channels shared with cable TV. E2B09, what kind of receiver can be used to receive and decode SSTV using the digital radio monodial protocol, DRM? And that's DSSB, single sideband. E2B10, what aspect of an analog slow scan television signal encodes the brightness of the picture? It's A, the tone frequency. E2B11, what is the function of the vertical interval signaling code sent as part of a SSTV transmission? B, to identify the slow scan TV mode being used. E2B12, what signals slow scan TV receiving software to begin a new picture line? A, specific tone frequencies. E2C, contest and DX operating, remote operation techniques, log data format, contact confirmation, and RF network systems. E2C01, what indicator is required to be used by U.S. licensed operators when operating a station via remote control and the remote transmitter is located in the U.S.? D, no additional indicator is required. E2C02, which of the following file formats is used for exchanging amateur radio log data? And that is C, ADIF. E2C03, from which of the following bands is amateur radio contesting generally excluded? A, 30 meters. E2C04, which of the following frequencies can be used for amateur radio mesh networks? B, frequencies shared with various unlicensed wireless data services. E2C05, what is the function of a DX QSL manager? B, handle the receiving and sending of confirmations for a DX station. E2C06, during a VHF-UHF contest, in which band segment would you expect to find the highest level of SSB or CW activity? C, in the weak signal segment of the band with most of the activity near the calling frequency. E2C07, what is the Cabrillo format? A standard for submission of electronic contest logs. E2C08, which of the following contacts may be confirmed through the logbook of the world, or also known as LOTW? D, all of these choices are correct. So a special event contact between stations in the U.S. B, contacts between a U.S. station and a non-U.S. station. And C, contacts for worked all states credit. E2C09, what type of equipment is commonly used to implement an amateur radio mesh network? C, a wireless router running custom firmware. E2C10, why do DX stations often transmit and receive on different frequencies? And the answer is D, all of these choices are correct, which is A, because the DX station may be transmitting on a frequency that is prohibited to some responding stations, B, to separate the calling stations from the DX station, or C, to improve operating efficiency by reducing interference. E2C11, how should you generally identify your station when transmitting or when attempting to contact a DX station during a contest or in a pileup? A, send your full call sign once or twice. E2C12, what indicates the delay between a control operator action and the corresponding change in the transmitted signal? C, latency. E2D, operating methods, digital modes and procedures for VHF and UHF, APRS, EME procedures, meteor scatter procedures. E2D01, which of the following digital modes is designed for meteor scatter communications? And that's B, MSK 144. E2D02, what information replaces signal to noise ratio when using the FT8 or FT4 modes in a VHF contest? That's D, the grid square. E2D03, which of the following digital modes is designed for EME communications? D, Q65. E2D04, what technology is used for real-time tracking of balloons carrying amateur radio transmitters? C, APRS. E2D05, what is the characteristic of JT65 mode? It's B, decodes signals with a very low signal-to-noise ratio. E2D06, which of the following is a method for establishing EME contacts? That's A, time-synchronous transmissions alternating between stations. E2D07, what digital protocol is used by APRS? And that is C, AX25, AX period 25. E2D08, what type of packet frame is used to transmit APRS beacon data? That's C, unnumbered information. E2D09, what type of modulation is used by JT65? It's A, multitone AFSK. E2D10, what does a packet path wide 3-1 designate? C, 3 digipeater hops are requested with 1 remaining. E2D11, how do APRS stations relay data? And that's D, by packet digipeaters. E2E, operating methods, digital modes, and procedures for HF. E2E01, which of the following types of modulation is used for data emissions below 30 MHz? B, FSK. E2E02, which of the following synchronizes WSJT-X digital mode transmit and receive timing? B, synchronization of computer clocks. E2E03, what does the 4 in FT4 refer? B, 4-tone continuous phase frequency shift keying. E2E04, which of the following is characteristic of the FST4 mode? And this is all of the choices are correct, so D. So the answers are A, a 4-tone Gaussian frequency shift keying, B, variable transmit receive periods, and C, 7 different tone spacings. E2E05, which of these digital modes does not support keyboard-to-keyboard operation? A, whisper, WSPR. E2E06, what is the length of an FT8 transmission cycle? C, 15 seconds. E2E07, how does Q65 differ from JT65? C, multiple receive cycles are averaged. E2E08, which of the following HF modes can be used to transfer binary files? That's B, PACTOR. E2E09, which of the following HF modes uses variable length character coding? D, PSK31. E2E10, which of these digital modes has the narrowest bandwidth? C, FT8. E2E11, what is the difference between direct FSK and audio FSK? A, direct FSK modulates the transmitter VFO. E2E12, how do ALE stations establish contacts? A, ALE constantly scans a list of frequencies activating the radio when the designated call sign is received. E2E13, which of these digital modes has the highest data throughput under clear communication conditions? That's D, PACTOR 4. PACTOR 4. And that'll conclude subelement E2. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll join us for subelement E3. Thank you.